The small town of Pinewood, Montana, lay blanketed under a thick layer of fresh snow. Icicles hung from rooftops, and the streets glistened with the golden glow of Christmas lights. Yet, amidst all the cheer, Miss Clara Thompson trudged along the frozen sidewalks, her scarf wrapped tightly around her neck. She loved teaching at the local elementary school, guiding her students through lessons, stories, and songs, but when the day ended, she returned to her tiny apartment, where silence echoed louder than any laughter. Clara had no family of her own, no siblings, no parents nearby, and no relatives to share the holiday with. This time of year, the town bustled with preparation. Shops displayed shimmering ornaments and handmade crafts, while the scent of fresh pine and cinnamon floated through the air. Clara had always admired the decorations and the warm smiles on the townspeople's faces, yet she felt a hollow pang of loneliness that grew sharper with each passing December. Her students, bright-eyed and cheerful, often asked why she didn't have a family to celebrate with. She would smile and tell them that she found joy in teaching them, but the truth, whispered in the quiet of her apartment, was far lonelier. As she passed the town square, Clara noticed the Hawthorne Ranch on the outskirts, its enormous house looming proudly against the snow. It was a mansion that sparkled even brighter during the holidays, with lights tracing the roofline and smoke curling from the chimney. Mr. Hawthorne, the rancher, was well known in town for his wealth and his private, distant nature. Rumors circulated that he spent most of his time alone, overseeing his sprawling property. Yet tonight, something was different. The front door of the mansion, usually closed and unyielding, swung open just as Clara walked by. Curiosity tugged at her, though caution kept her rooted. She noticed movement inside, a flicker of warm light from a grand fireplace, the faint laughter of someone within. It was so inviting that she couldn't help but imagine being welcomed there, even for a single evening. Her breath fogged in the icy air as she hesitated on the steps, feeling a strange mixture of hope and disbelief. The idea that the wealthy, solitary rancher might reach out to someone like her seemed impossible, yet her heart fluttered at the thought. For a moment, Clara stood silently, listening to the crackle of the fire and the distant sounds of a holiday meal being prepared. The inviting warmth of the house felt like a beacon in the cold, lonely night. Without fully understanding why, she took a tentative step toward the doorway, her boots crunching softly in the snow. Something inside her whispered that this Christmas might be unlike any she had ever known, and that maybe, just maybe, she was about to experience a miracle that would change her life forever. Clara hesitated for a heartbeat at the threshold, her gloved hands gripping the edge of her scarf. The warmth from inside the mansion washed over her like a wave, chasing away the cold that had clung to her for hours. She could hear faint laughter and the soft clinking of dishes, sounds so foreign to her quiet, solitary apartment that they made her chest ache with longing. With a deep breath, she stepped forward. The door closed softly behind her, and the muffled winter winds outside seemed to vanish instantly. Inside, the Hawthorne mansion was even more magnificent than Clara had imagined. Golden lights flickered across high ceilings, reflecting from crystal chandeliers that hung like suspended stars. The scent of roasting turkey and spiced cider filled the air, mingling with the comforting aroma of pine and fresh baked bread. A grand staircase swept up to the second floor, flanked by polished wood banisters and rich red carpeting. Clara's eyes widened, taking in every detail, the warmth, the elegance, and the feeling of life buzzing through the rooms. "Ah, Miss Thompson," said a voice, calm yet commanding. Clara turned to see Mr. Hawthorne himself approaching. Tall and broad-shouldered, his dark coat brushed the floor, and his eyes, usually stern and distant in town, softened as they met hers. "I hope I'm not intruding by inviting you here." Clara shook her head, words caught in her throat. She had never imagined that the infamous, wealthy rancher would extend a personal invitation to her. I didn't expect," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "To be welcomed. You deserve it," he finished for her, with a gentle smile. "I've seen how devoted you are to the children in town, how tirelessly you care for them. I thought, this Christmas, perhaps you could experience a family of your own, even if only for a night." Clara's eyes filled with tears, a mix of disbelief and gratitude. She had spent years giving so much to others, yet never allowing herself to hope for kindness in return. Now, surrounded by the warmth of the mansion, with a fire crackling in the hearth, it felt as if the universe had finally answered her unspoken prayers. The household staff, previously bustling in preparation for the holiday meal, paused to greet her with gentle smiles. The cook, a kindly woman with flour-dusted hands, offered her a steaming mug of cocoa. A housekeeper guided her toward a chair near the fire, and the rancher's niece, a shy girl no older than 8, peeked out from behind the staircase with curiosity and excitement. Dinner was soon served, a feast that could have rivaled any town celebration, complete with roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, and an array of sweet desserts. Clara marveled at the generosity and care displayed in every detail, but what touched her most was the sense of family that radiated from everyone in the room. For the first time in years, she felt that she truly belonged somewhere, that her presence was valued not for what she could give, but for who she was. As the evening unfolded, laughter filled the grand hall. Clara joined in, her voice mingling with the children's songs and the warm chatter of the household. She realized that this night would linger in her memory forever, not for the grandeur of the mansion or the wealth surrounding her, but for the simple, powerful gift of being welcomed, accepted, and cherished. The evening deepened, and the grand Hawthorne dining hall hummed with warmth and laughter. Clara sat near the fireplace, a place she never imagined herself occupying, sipping hot cocoa and watching the glow of candlelight dance across polished wood. She felt a strange mixture of awe and disbelief. How could she, a lonely schoolteacher with no family, be welcomed into such a home? But here, surrounded by genuine smiles and laughter, it was undeniable, she belonged. Mr. Hawthorne, once known in town as the distant, reserved rancher, now moved through the room with quiet ease. He checked on his niece, ensured the staff were comfortable, and even paused to ask Clara if she enjoyed the meal. Every gesture, though subtle, spoke volumes of his generosity and attention. Clara noticed how he watched her with gentle interest, not as an outsider but as someone worthy of care. The children, Clara's own students mingling with the niece and a few local kids who had wandered over, tugged at her sleeves and begged her to teach them a new carol. She laughed, her heart light, and began leading them in song. The sound of voices, young and old, rich and humble, filled the mansion, wrapping Clara in a cocoon of warmth she hadn't known she needed. Every note, every laugh, chipped away at the loneliness that had shadowed her for years. Later, the cook beckoned Clara into the kitchen. Together, they decorated a small Christmas cake, frosting it with care and laughing at the messy swirls of icing. Clara felt at home in this simple task, the kitchen alive with chatter and the occasional clatter of utensils. She marveled at how natural it felt to be included, to work alongside people who treated her like one of their own. Each smile, each word of kindness, strengthened a feeling she had almost forgotten, hope. Mr. Hawthorne approached her as she set the final touches on the cake. "You bring a light here that even I cannot," he said softly. Clara's cheeks warmed, unsure whether to feel embarrassed or proud. "You've given the children, and all of us, something we didn't know we needed," he continued. "A teacher's heart is rare, Clara, and yours is extraordinary." By the time the evening drew to a close, Clara had shared stories, songs, and laughter with every member of the household. She felt an unfamiliar but profound connection to this place, the house, the rancher, his niece, the staff, all woven together into a kind of family she had never imagined having. Her mind replayed moments of her lonely past Christmases, contrasting them with the joy of this night, and she realized that miracles sometimes arrived in quiet, unexpected forms. As she sat by the fire later, watching the snow fall softly outside, Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. This Christmas, for the first time, she understood that warmth and love weren't measured by gifts or wealth, but by acceptance, care, and presence. She had found a home, not just a mansion, not just a place to sleep, but a family who had embraced her fully. And she knew, with certainty, that she would never feel truly alone again. The days following that first magical evening passed in a whirlwind of warmth, laughter, and connection. Clara no longer felt like a visitor in the Hawthorne mansion, she felt like she belonged. She helped the cook in the kitchen, teaching the rancher's niece simple recipes while sharing stories of her own childhood. She organized songs and games for the children, both her students and the niece, creating a bridge between her life as a teacher and this newfound family. Every smile she saw, every hug she received, stitched together the sense of home she had longed for all her life. Mr. Hawthorne, who had once seemed so untouchable and distant, now spoke to her with quiet familiarity. He sought her advice on household matters, shared moments of humor, and even invited her to sit beside him in the study as he recounted tales of the ranch and his own lonely past. Clara realized that the warmth of this household wasn't just about wealth or grand decorations, it was about presence, attention, and genuine care. She had never imagined being valued in such a complete and tender way. One crisp evening, as snow fell gently against the large windows, Clara stood with the children, decorating a small Christmas tree in the grand hall. The rancher watched silently from the fireplace, a soft smile on his face. She guided the children's hands as they hung ornaments, listening to their laughter and light chatter. For a moment, Clara closed her eyes and breathed deeply, feeling the hum of life around her, the crackle of the fire, the scent of pine and cinnamon, the soft rustle of the snow outside. This, she realized, was family. This, she thought, was Christmas. On Christmas Eve, the mansion glowed with candlelight, the aroma of baked goods filling every corner. Clara led the children in carols, their voices harmonizing beautifully, and Mr. Hawthorne joined in, his deep voice steady and warm. The household staff hummed along, tapping their feet to the music. Clara's heart soared with gratitude, the emptiness she had carried for years was completely replaced by a profound sense of belonging. She looked around at the smiling faces, the warmth, the laughter, and understood that her life had been transformed. Later, as the night quieted, Clara sat by the fire with the rancher's niece in her lap. Mr. Hawthorne handed her a small, wrapped gift, insisting she open it. Inside was a delicate ornament, a tiny handcrafted star, meant to hang at the very top of the tree. A reminder, he said softly, that you're part of this family now, Clara. You have a home here, always. Tears filled her eyes as she embraced both the niece and the rancher. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen, cherished, and loved. That Christmas, Clara learned the greatest lesson of all. Family isn't always defined by blood, and miracles sometimes come wrapped in the warmth of generosity and kindness. She had been given more than a mansion or a feast. She had been given a place to belong, hearts to care for, and a future filled with love. And as the snow continued to fall over Pinewood, Montana, Clara whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude, knowing that she would never be alone again.